Welcome back to Twitch and Box Sports Talk. State of the Broncos, Steelers, and Kansas City Chiefs. State of the Chiefs will be short this week because out of playoff contention and lost last week. But both me and Twitch's teams are both very much still alive in the playoff hunt. Obviously, Twitch's team getting a huge win last week in Detroit, and then the Broncos losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars the way they did. But I'm going to start off with the start of the Broncos here. State of the Broncos, obviously, our red zone defense was terrible, giving up 34 points, 4 for 4 in red zone when we've been like 36% all year in red zone defense. So he's giving up those plays in the red zone hurt us, obviously, and then our offense only putting up 20. There's a Will Lutz missed field goal there, and then there's a fourth down on the Jacksonville side of the field that we run like a fullback dive into 3 guys, which I'm not one to criticize. I mean, I've criticized Sean Payton's screen calling and stuff, but I've never criticized his run plays or his run game. But I don't know if that's necessarily the best call there, especially when we didn't run the ball the best against these guys. We only totaled 101 yards total. But I'm excited. I think it's okay. It takes the pressure off the win streak. Obviously, we had the longest win streak in the NFL this year, and then there's external pressure for sure there. And even though if you say, hey, the pressure's not bothering me, obviously it's still in the back of your head of, oh, man, where people are going to think we suck if we lose and all this. But, losing this way, it's okay. And it's a team that we'll more than likely see in the playoffs at some point if they're on our side of the bracket. I think they win their first round for sure. But I think we're still in a good place. I think obviously losing our starting safety and having to start P.J. Locke definitely hurt us a little bit. He had that one pass interference call that was definitely blatantly pass interference, and then had another one that was iffy for sure. And then Riley Moss getting an interception, but, another guy that is probably has to be top 5 in the league in pass interference calls, which, granted, some of them are weak just because he's a white cornerback and they hate to see him succeed, I guess. I don't know. That's a very interesting take there, but I'm not going to say that on the podcast as well. Anyways, I think we get it done this week in Kansas City, and I think that Chargers game is going to be a huge game for us. Hopefully it's for the 1 seed if we take care of Kansas City, and because we already have the tiebreaker over the Patriots, so it looks good in that perspective. We got to give our flowers, obviously, to the Jacksonville, just getting hot at the right time down the stretch here. But excited to see what happens. Offensive line's a little banged up this week, but I think we'll be okay against Chris Jones, just double team him every play. Don't let somebody else try to get a pass rush on Bo. The only thing that kind of scares me leading into this week is being not necessarily complacent, but thinking, oh, these guys have nothing to play for, so we don't have to come out here and, we don't have to come out here and being aggressive and playing like we played last time, because there's still pieces to that team that we beat 23-20 with that last second field goal last time. There's still pieces on the field. Granted, they don't have the best quarterback in the game right now, Patrick Mahomes, but I'm still hopeful. I think we get moved to 13-3, and then hopefully we get to that 14 win spot on that last week of the year. So my prediction was right on the head, and posted everywhere and make myself look really smart, I guess, having faith in my team there. But I think Kansas City still has some more to play for, and I think number 19, their backup quarterback, Chris, I'm not going to try to say his last name, he's going to play, he made some plays against the Titans, and I think with a week of him under center, it would be interesting to see for sure. And obviously TK, probably the Chiefs homer away there last week.
Last week?
No, the last game of the year. I don't know if they're home away, but TK's playing one of his last 2 games, if not his last game in Arrowhead. So I think they'll try to get him the ball and force feed him a little bit. So excited for this game. I'm happy. Not trying to complain too much. 12-3. I'm happy to be where we're at, and even if we don't win the division, we end up in the wild card. Still happy where we're at. And I think it's only up from this season. Not saying the season's over because we lose to the Jaguars, but just in retrospect, looking back, where we're at now, I'm very happy to see that we're at where we're at, and very happy to know that we only get better from here because this is our last year of Russell Wilson cap space as well. So throwing it over throwing it over to Twitch over there. Twitch, what is the state of the Steelers up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched base on it earlier, but like Pittsburgh obviously controls their own destiny, sitting over at 9-6, winners of 3 straight after the sky was falling, rightfully so. People calling for Tomlin's job on a 3-game win streak. Offense obviously looks a lot better. Really going to be interesting how to see how they do again with that defense and not having DK Metcalf, with not really having a number 2 receiver most of the year, but getting Thielen involved after a couple of weeks now and him getting 4 catches for 50 yards, getting a veteran like that. Scantling dropping a touchdown. Darnell Washington having a bogus fumble. But at the same time, it seems like he has a drop pass. I was going to say that earlier. It seems like he has a drop pass or like a fumble every game. Yeah. But he also has one play where he's like run over 4 or 5 people every game. It's like watching the 12. Like it's like that sounds weird. Like I'm sitting from a van or something watching this shit. Makes me sound like a pedophile. But I was just it's like when you see like the kids, like the older kids, but it's like when you see the older kids, I said, and then they have a bunch of younger kids, like 4 or 5 kids, it's like hanging off of them. Anyway, it just like seems like every single. Anyway, I'm just saying, like I said, he just looks like a grown man among boys. Like Washington seems to make those plays every week. But like it's going to have to be by committee this week. As long as they don't turn the ball over, I like Pittsburgh's chances. The 2 names I keep bringing up every week, not to toot my own horn, but about my own team, is the contributions of Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell probably made the catch of the year for the Steelers last week, with an offense that was struggling, down 10-3 with about 12 seconds before half, lays out for a ball, makes a hell of a catch, doesn't get touched, gets 7 runs for a touchdown. But every single week he's making big plays. We're going to need some of those this week. So yeah, like I said, state of the Steelers, like, I don't think they're thinking about Baltimore. I don't think that they're thinking, I mean, they might be in their rearview mirror, but like Pittsburgh's knows they have a golden opportunity. They're in the driver's seat. So if Baltimore were to pull off that upset, like I feel like they don't want to come down to that Week 18 game again. Not that they're necessarily scared of it, but then it's like a toss-up, especially in as close as those Steelers-Ravens games usually are. So it'd be nice to, if the Ravens do win, but Pittsburgh wins too and wins the division, it'd be nice for them to probably rest their starters because they'd be playing as the 4 seed Week 1, probably against the Buffalo or somebody like that. So, yeah, so Pittsburgh leads their own division, leads their own path to the playoffs, and defense playing a lot better over the last 2 or 3 weeks, even without T.J. Watt. So, yeah, I think that's the state of the Steelers. We'll I don't have a lot else to say other than the same things we all week. It's going to be, and especially now that DK's gone, so it's not who's number 2, but who's going to step up this week. But I feel like if they get it done by committee, and that'll be at least be the game plan, getting those 3 tight ends involved, getting Gainwell, getting Warren, getting Connor Hayward, getting those guys involved out of the backfield, and just not turning the ball over, and on top of keeping guys like Myles Garrett, so far this year, or I think it's over so far this year. I heard something today. But at least over the last month, like the quickest release in the NFL this year has been Aaron Rodgers, actually. So, yeah, I think that'll be the key to the game and protecting the football. And state of the Steelers is winners of 3 straight. And rumor talk, as much as I'm pessimistic, is this a formula that they could, especially in a year where everyone's been so up and down for the most part, could they do some damage or could they upset somebody? They got to make it there first, and so to me, this Cleveland game is a little bit more tricky than what it looks on paper. I think it's kind of a trap game, but everything in front of them. It's a great win against Detroit. I don't want to take away from that, but they got kind of lucky, and they said they can't let their foot off the gas. I said so. Hopefully, I can just watch them play their starters one more time in the regular season, and the Ravens lose on Saturday, so that way I can just go ahead and celebrate division title.
Would be nice. We're going to skip State of the Chiefs this week.
No.
Oh, you're going to hit it?
Yeah, I'll hit it.
What is the state of the Chiefs over there, LSV?
Well, it's simple. I mean, everybody in Chiefs Kingdom knows what it is. It's with Patrick Mahomes going down, you hope that he comes back and he's ready to go Week 1. That injury, they talk about usually 9-10 months. Maybe a little longer for your recovery, and everybody's talked about how Patrick Mahomes is a beast. He's going to go back out there. He's going to attack it. I mean, he got hurt on Sunday, was getting surgery on Monday night, and getting stuff taken care of. Nobody doubts his efforts in the recovery process of how he wants to bounce back and come back and be that competitive guy for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, and that's why we all love him. I mean, he's so dynamic in his spirit and love for the game. So I think that realistically, what Chiefs fans expect to see is that come regular season in 2026, he'll be ready to go. Is that realistic? By human standards, probably not, but by Patrick Mahomes standards, that's probably what we're going to see. And do you set him out and let him heal up longer if need to be? Absolutely, but Patrick Mahomes is going to be in Andy Reid's ear, the whole time about I'm ready to go, coach. I'm ready to go, coach, and he's so competitive that I don't see him not playing in regular season game 1. So, but I mean, as far as the state of the Chiefs, that's the first thing that you think about is, get your quarterback franchise guy, ready to go. And that's the one thing that's on the horizon for the Chiefs. So now, can we do anything about that? No, that's going to be Patrick Mahomes. That's going to be him and his guys that he has that bring him back to rehab and get him ready to go. So that's part of it. The rest of the state of the Chiefs, get him some protection. He shouldn't be out there running around scrambling for his life on plays where he should just be able to be that Patrick Mahomes that can, let plays fruition down the field. So we've struggled with having that dynamic running back that we haven't seen. I said earlier tonight that when we didn't have great success out of Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. I mean, they had opportunities that didn't happen. We talked about all year long. We were waiting on Rashee Rice to come back after his suspension, and when he comes back, it'll be great. And then Worthy gets hurt, and then so he's out. So we were missing some key components on the wide receiver core. Ultimately, what happens is that we need to put together a full package of what Kansas City is really needing to have to be successful next year. And there's a lot of different things that need to come into that. Now, what happens with that in the draft, free agency? I don't know, because I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what those players' positions are. I don't know where their capacity is as far as going forward and playing. But we have player evaluation is the state of the Chiefs. So I believe that we can make an evaluation to see what we need, but we have the next couple months to figure that out. And obviously losing some key players week after week are dynamic reasons why you have people in the organization that look after acquiring those positions. But that's the in Veach we trust. I don't know. This is where we're at. This is, I think, his big year to come out here and say, I'm the guy that we brought into the organization that says I will figure this stuff out. But we're losing a few people in the offseason, and I think that this is where we move some money around and then we figure out what do we need to do to come back and be great for the next 6, 7, 8 years. So, I don't know. That's where the state of the Chiefs, it's not rebuild. It's just figure out what you need to –
What are you reloading on?
What do you need to reload on? And there's some things that we've got there that are still key components that are great. So
I think the biggest thing is offensive line, obviously for Mahomes, and then a run game. Because, I mean, having a good run game also takes pressure off the offensive line as well. So, I mean, I feel like that'd be 1A and 1B for the Kansas City Chiefs. Because, I mean, we've seen Spags do it with defenses of guys that aren't the biggest names in the world or big players a bit.
Well, when people talked in on 610 Sports about wide receiver talent, I'm thinking Hell, we went back and we rebuilt on a year after a playoff season, and we had 7 rookies
Yeah.
out there that nobody's ever even heard of, and we're winning a Super Bowl. I mean, they can put together some players that make that roster work.
Yeah.
And that's just a crazy recognition of Patrick Mahomes' talent. And now you're looking at, well, what do we have sitting here now? Because we know we're losing a few players.
Yeah, and you're gonna have some cap space open up.
So that's where I think that we're at, is we have to just look at realistically what do we need to do to give him that opportunity to show his greatness.
I'm excited for our end of the season recap and our breakdown, our wish list of teams. Figure we'll all take, we'll split the teams up into thirds, and we can all do a little research on it. But I'm excited to see what the Chiefs look like next August for sure, because I mean, in Veach we trust, and he hasn't steered you wrong yet, so I could see him definitely getting it back going again, which as a Broncos fan sucks that you have a good GM that can rebuild like that, but I think he definitely will, and he'll be back. But that concludes Twitch and Box Sports Talk. State of the Teams, Week 17 edition. We'll be on Arrowhead, boots on the ground, so be on the lookout for a short little pod coming out of that one. Probably 20 minutes, 15 minutes, just talking crap. And
Wear a sign.
yeah, LSV wearing a sign for his punishment from the Chiefs' loss earlier in the season to the Broncos. But appreciate everybody listening. Hope everybody has a great week, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Merry Christmas.